Greetings, blade friends. Thanks for joining me on another video. Hope everybody's doing well. This is Joe from JS Bladecraft. I'm bringing you a look at the Mohok from RoseCraft Blades. Break it all down for you guys. This is pretty much, I think, the toughest knife that RoseCraft Blades offers. In terms of an everyday work knife, this thing is definitely it. And priced at $33.99 at the airing of this video, that's a pretty damn good deal for really what you're getting on this knife. It's a 3.5 inch D2 harpoon blade. We'll get to that later, but I love D2 steel. It's got a really nice looking dark stonewash finish, manual flipper, ambidextrous thumb studs, which is great that they add that to every knife. Beautifully smooth ball bearing pivot, gray micarta handles, solid as a rock. Really nice steel liners, ambidextrous tip up carry, lanyard hole, 4.75 closed, 8.75 overall, and the designer is Hawkins Rose. Now, fellas, like Scab always says, we're not doing anything scientific here. We're just showing you the knife work. Is there any hot spots? How does it feel in the hand? How is the slicing ability? How's the edge geometry? How does the lock hold up? A lot of these tests are also showing you how the lock holds up. You know, how good the liner lock actually works. Is it going to basically fail on you? You can see in the beginning when I was doing the hard downward throws, you know, it held up. You know, the lock didn't close up on me or anything like that. Here I'm just cutting some Home Depot 2x4 or whatever's left of it, and just showing you the knife work, showing you how it slices, showing you the sharpness level of the knife out of the box, which is something really that impresses me with RoseCraft. A lot of things impress me with RoseCraft, but more importantly is how sharp the knives come to your door and how sharp they are out of the box, and how well they perform. The steels are pretty good. D2, you know, D2, I've always been very happy with D2, and I tried to get you a couple different things to cut so you could imagine yourself how well it would perform for you at work or at home. You can see these push cuts here with the it's a 3 copper electric cable, and it handled it pretty good. And it's important, you know, if you're at work and you need to cut rope or you need to cut wire or anything like that, you want to know that it's going to perform for you and the edge is not going to get ruined. Now, this particular demonstration test, whatever you want to call it, it's a water hose. Now, obviously, if you have a sharp knife, it'll cut it, but it's also to test and to put stress on the locking system, on the liner lock, to see if you put some stress on it, if it will fail on you. So obviously it didn't. It did a pretty good job. And I think I did some more slicing here with the water hose, again, just to put some more stress on the edge, on the locking mechanism, to see how well it holds up to these types of tests. So you could imagine if you have this knife and you need to take it to work, or if you need to go camping with it, can it process wood? Can it cut camping rope or this polyurethane rope? You see I tripled it there so I can get each part of the blade, and it cut it with no problem. So if you had a folder in your pocket and you wanted this to be it, and you want to cut rope and you want to cut camping rope, or if you want to take it to work, it's going to work for you. So here's another couple of close-ups of the blade. You see a really nice steel liner, and it's a heavy blade, guys. It's pretty solid. The micarta handles, I love it. It feels great in the hands. It's about 4 3/4 ounces, so it's got a little weight to it. It's got some nice snappiness or a nice soft opening. The detent is pretty good. If everybody, you know, if you worry about detent, you know, detent is there. It definitely closes. And what I found is carrying this around for a little while, it actually wore in a lot better. It was a little stiffer when I first got it out of the box, but you know, after using it and opening and closing it a couple of times, it's actually pretty damn fluid now. But the ceramic ball bearings makes it a very soft open and close, which is pretty prominent factor in pretty much all of the RoseCraft knives. But the handle, guys, look how great it fits in the hand. I mean, if you have large hands to extra large hands, you'll have no problem with the handle. This is by far probably the most comfortable handle out of RoseCraft's lineup. Love that blade, love that black stonewash finish, but the way it feels in the hand and the way it carries in your hand and the different grips you can take, that's not really a finger choil there. That's like kind of like an extended sharpening choil, so you really can't put your finger there, but you got enough real estate in the handle that you can hold this thing confidently in the hand, and it feels really, really great. Nice weight to it. I love a knife that has a little weight to it, and it just feels solid. It feels solid in the hand. Here I'm doing a little batoning. Can you baton with this knife? Can the lock hold up? I was cutting some wood down to make some fire sticks, some thin fire sticks to aid in making a fire along with the fat wood, and it handled the batoning just fine, guys. Listen, I'm not torturing this thing. I'm probably doing some more vigorous tests than you normally do with a folder, but you can baton with it. You got a nice reinforced tip there with that harpoon type of blade, and that aids, I think, in also making the knife a little tougher in terms of having more of a reinforced tip there. And for batoning, it's great. You can see what it does there. It's got a nice leveled tip where you can baton with it just fine. Homage to scab. I think I need to make myself a war club, so I'm going to be using this stick or this log or this whatever you want to call it, and I'm going to be trying to kind of just debark it, which I'm doing now, and you can see it's still slicing really well, guys. Again, it's not a fixed blade, it's a folder, and it's slicing really well. The lock is holding up. And little by little, with each review I'm doing, I'm going to basically trim this piece of wood down to make like a little war club or maybe a batoning stick or whatever. But it's still slicing. It's still handling pretty well. So that shows you the edge retention is holding up. After doing some cutting, it's still slicing pretty well. So I'll shut up for a second and look at the knife work for the rest of this demo. Now, after seeing Scab's video and Donnie's video on this knife, I actually sent this knife to Donnie as well. I wanted to be a little more vigorous on this thing. I know this thing can handle it. I wanted to find a reason for any loosening in the internals of the knife, or maybe the edge rolling or the edge chipping. So I'm doing a little more vigorous banging on the knife. I think I'm actually going to be banging on the spine here to see if I can't force anything to loosen up on it. And it handled well, guys. I mean, you'll see at the end of the video, nothing is loose. Everything is holding up pretty well. So it's just some vigorous cutting here. And I'm actually testing it here right after the cuts. I couldn't find anything to complain about in terms of the liner lock failing. No chips on the edges, no rolling. The point of the knife is straight, nothing bent or rolled back. Again, you could damage any knife. You could destroy any knife. But with normal tasks that what a knife is supposed to do, it handled it pretty well. So this is some paper cutting here, guys. This paper cutting was done after I did all of that cutting outdoors, and it still has a pretty good paper slicing edge. And the good thing about D2 is you can throw this thing on a strap handle and it'll come back to life pretty good. So it carries in the pocket pretty well. Not a deep pocket carry. I don't know who really cares about that. It sticks up in the pocket a little bit, but it goes in the pocket very easily, and it's comfortable. It's comfortable in the pocket. A little conclusion just to close this thing all off for you. So this is the Mohok. Now, I've been very curious about this knife after seeing my colleagues, my YouTube colleagues doing their reviews, Scab's review, Donnie's review, and I've been very curious about this knife because basically this has been kind of called the work knife of RoseCraft Blades. It's by far the toughest knife that they have in their lineup. And after using it for a little while, I got to tell you, I'm impressed. I mean, this was probably the most confident I felt with a knife, kind of doing some harder tasks with it. And I feel like after using the knife and doing the demonstrations and all that, I feel like this would be a good camping knife, a good everyday carry. for everyday cutting tasks, which I have been doing prior to doing that cutting, and also a good solid work knife. Okay, and I mean, it's a bargain, guys, for what that. I mean, at the airing of this video, it's about, you know, a little under $40. If that price is going to change, I can't tell you, but right now that's what it costs, and that's a great bargain for this knife at that price point, because it is a tough knife. It has weight in the hand, and you know, as soon as you hold the knife in your hand and you feel the weight, you know it's going to be tough. It's got a really nice, solid gripping handle and a solid feeling handle, and it's got some nice spine. You know, nice thick spine, a nice reinforced tip, which is pretty cool. Now, let's talk about the tip a little bit. Now, when I first kind of opened this knife up and I saw this kind of harpoon type of tip, it is a little odd, but after using it for a little while, you know, if you wanted to take, like, what is this called, an old man grip, and you want to really get nice and tight with this knife here, you have like a little ledge where you can put your finger here where it rests really nice, and you're pretty confident doing some nice tight work with it. So I don't know if that was Hawkins Rose design, what he was intending, but it actually works out pretty well. And from batoning with it, it's got a nice level here if you want to baton with the knife, so it handled the batoning well, and I think it has to do a lot with the fact of how this tip is conformed. Now, if you wanted to kind of shave this down, which I know Donnie did, and it looks pretty damn good, but honestly, then you would have to kind of change the whole name of the knife is a Mohok, so this is kind of the Mohok, okay? So it would kind of change the whole design aspect of really why the knife is named what it is and why it looks the way it is. So I have no problem with it. I did a little bit at first. It was a little odd to me, but after using it and carrying it around, I appreciate the solidity of this knife, how tough this knife is, and how well it works. But one thing that you can definitely guarantee is the fact that they're all solid knives. They're all well made, well constructed, great steel, great materials they put in them. But if you really want to get the bigger knife, if you have bigger hands, I would say the Mohok is probably the knife for you. It's definitely, you know, grips your hand pretty well. It's got a lot of different grips. You can hold it with this, you know, Mohok or harpoon tip, and it's got a nice, solid, thick spine. And it works, guys. It works really well. It's solid. It didn't fail on me. Everything is still tight. And actually, with some use, basically, it actually is more fluid than when I got it out of the box. Because when I got it out of the box, it was a little bit stiff. Now, the ball bearings kind of, you know, work themselves in, and it just, it opens and closes like a dream. It's absolutely no problem. Take a look at other videos if you're on the fence with it. I don't know why you would be. Take a look at Scab's video. I'll put the link in the description. Take a look at Donnie's video. I'll put the link to his video in the description. And you can see also the test they put it through and their outlook on the knives. This is the Mohok from RoseCraft Blades. By far, I think, their toughest knife. And this is probably their work knife out of their lineup. It's a tough knife for work, great for everyday carry, and a great camping knife, as you can see. So guys, once again, thank you for choosing to watch my video. Much appreciated. And I'll see you on my next sword or knife video. Much love and respect to each and every one of you. Stay well, and I'll see you soon. Peace.